And welcome to the weeknight. I'm Simone Sanders Townsend with Alicia Menendez and Michael Steele. Breaking tonight, gas prices are now over $4 a gallon nationally. And the president, well, he just dismissed those concerns in the Oval Office. We'll show you what he said in a moment.
Then Trump's plan to end birthright citizenship goes before the Supreme Court. Even he doesn't seem to have much confidence in the outcome, attacking the justices before they have even heard the case.
And breaking just moments ago, Donald Trump just signed an executive order designed to crack down on mail-in voting. This as Democrats continue their record-breaking streak with another special election victory. But folks, let's begin tonight with news on the economic fallout of Donald Trump's war with Iran. Just an hour ago, the president dismissed the pain Americans are feeling at the pump.
Gas prices today, they hit $4,
and we're $4, yeah, and we have a country that's not going to be throwing a nuclear weapon at us in 6 months.
but Americans are feeling the effects in the interim.
And they're also feeling a lot safer.
What is the plan to bring them back down?
All I have to do is leave Iran, and we'll be doing that very soon, and they'll become tumbling down. And stock prices were up today almost to a record.
The national average for a gallon of gas now stands above $4, up more than $1 since the start of Trump's war of choice. That $4 mark is the average gas, all right? So that's the average. Gas is higher in places like South Florida. It's close to $5 in Arizona. And in Los Angeles, folks, y'all know what it's like out there. People are paying $6 a gallon. Higher fuel costs are driving up other prices as well. JetBlue increased bag fees by $4 because of, guess what, rising jet fuel prices. That's on top of already higher airfare. That's what's happening in the economy. All of this should have been predictable, though, folks. This is not surprising. When Trump ordered the military to start bombing Iran, the Iranians effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz. What do you think is going to happen when oil can't get through the strait? About a fifth of the world's oil and gas passes each year through that strait. And yet, the Wall Street Journal reports Trump told staffers in recent days that he's willing to end the war without finding a solution to reopen the strait. Instead, he wants our allies to clean up his mess. Trump posted today that countries should go to the strait and, quote, just take it. He added, quote, fight for yourself. The USA won't be there to help you anymore. Here's the president, our president, tonight in the Oval Office giving an update about the timeline for his war.
I would say that within 2 weeks, maybe 3, we're hitting them very hard.
Pardon me, interrupting. The U.S. will be gone or done with the war?
I think we're 2 or 3 weeks.
Not 3 weeks, if it is 3 weeks.
It's like a construction project. Will be done in about 2 or 3 weeks. Let's bring in former Undersecretary of the Army, Patrick Murphy. He's also a former Democratic congressman from the state of Pennsylvania. Also with us, MS Now senior national security reporter, David Rowe.
David Rowe, it almost feels like an affront to your expertise to have to ask you to parse out this gobbledygook, because it doesn't make any sense that the president, through his own actions, ended up closing the Strait of Hormuz, is now saying he's willing to walk away from it and let other people clean up his mess. How does that actually play out?
Well, what's really smart is when you tell your enemy you're going to give up in 2 weeks. So it's a message to the Iranians, just wait 2 weeks.
But the timeline's political for them, right? That's their idea.
4 to 6 weeks was the promise, and they're going to stop at 6 weeks.
This is the 5th week, by the way.
Correct. Thank you. And then the problem is there's like this is sort of basic markets and basic capitalism. It's a global oil market. If the U.S. didn't need any of the oil going through the Strait of Hormuz, then gas prices wouldn't have gone up to $4 a gallon. So even if we leave, there's still going to be high gas prices in this country because it's an interlinked global economy now, whether he likes it or not. And then this idea of sort of badgering Europe and saying you go in and you solve this problem. It's really interesting. Donald Trump is incredibly unpopular in Europe now.
You don't say.
It's basic democracy. So the Prime Minister of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, has reinvigorated his whole political standing by opposing this war from Trump. Giorgia Meloni, the Italian Prime Minister, who's a real Trump ally, is in political trouble. So European countries aren't going to join because they're democracies and they don't want to get involved in a war Donald Trump started. So all of this, which it doesn't add up, it doesn't make sense. Oil prices aren't going to drop and the Iranians aren't going to give up when they've just been told, hang on for 2 weeks.
I mean, it sounds straightforward to me. Here is internationally, our allies and partners are not feeling like allies and partners, therefore they're not speaking like allies and partners. And domestically, Americans, even some who voted for Donald Trump, are not feeling great about the president. We've just got a little sock mash of some Floridians on gas prices today. Take a listen.
See, I used to fill my tank up. Now I just put 20 bucks. You know, because yeah, it is getting pretty expensive. Can't afford to fill the tank up no more. So how long is 40 bucks gonna last me from driving every day? You know, it's gonna hurt everybody.
It definitely feels like nowadays it's more like pinching pennies than being able to save and like save for a future or save for a new car and stuff like that.
It's hard because can't afford it. You can't afford a lot of things today. You know, especially food, medical. It's hard.
Congressman Murphy, if I were a Democratic strategist working this cycle, I would see videos like that and I would be looking to put them into ads and I would be billing my clients extra because I think November would be great. If I were a Republican strategist working this cycle, I would be billing my clients extra because I'm going to need it after.
Well, they're already
what,
billing their clients
okay?
extra, so.
They're going to need it after what is potentially happening this November. There are real life implications for this war in Iran, and it's playing out, Congressman, in literally every gas pump in America.
No doubt, Simone, you're absolutely right. And that's why Americans are so frustrated. They were promised no new wars. They were promised less inflation. What did they get? They got the Iran war, a war of choice with no imminent threat that has cost not just 13 American service members their lives, thousands of Iranians, but also an oil shock that is driving Americans' prices up. You talked about the dollar more for a gallon of gas, but also inflation, Simone. Inflation was tamed. It was 2.9% the last 2 years, 2024, 2025. They show that inflation this year is going to be up to 4.2%. Why? And what does that mean? That means that most American families, the average family, another $2,000 in expenses. And that's because this Congress passed a big, beautiful bill. What did they do when it comes to energy? They roll back solar and wind. Now, Simone, I'm the all the above energy approach, right? Including conserving the energy that we use. But when you get rid of the tax breaks for solar and wind, which basically is the cheapest, that means we're dependent on oil and fossil fuels. So this oil shock is hurting us left and right, American families and American businesses.
Well,
Secretary is right, Mr.
yeah,
Chairman.
no, he is right, but it sort of raises and begs some other questions.
Good evening, this is Elder G. God can woke us up one more time. God can start us on our way. God can clothe us in our right mind. And I hope and pray that all our limbs are working properly. I want to talk to you about politics and about religion. I'm a minister. I'm an elder in a church. I'm an associate minister at a church. I talk about politics all the time. I talk to people all the time about politics. Because 90% of the time, I'm dealing with civil society. God is only asking for 10% of your time. The other 90% is civil. You vote. You see all the men that join the military, preachers, deacons, elders in the church, they all pick up an AR-15 or an AK-47 and they go to the military and they kill people that they don't even know. They drop bombs from 35,000 feet or more on schools and hospitals. And they kill kids and old folks. I'm talking about people that's praising God every day. When the military tells them to jump, they jump. When the military tells them to blow somebody's brains out, they blow somebody's brains out. But when it comes to God, you can't do nothing. You can't do nothing. You are fake, a phony, and a fraud. Because the Bible tells you that you are supposed to put God first. God is number one. God's way of doing things is number one. God is King of kings and he's Lord of lords. But for a civil society, you can jump up and fight. If you're a police officer and you're a preacher or a deacon, you can shoot somebody down just because they stole your TV or they stepped on your feet or they accidentally bumped into your car. But when it comes to God, you can't do nothing. That just goes to show you. That's why we in the position that we're in right now. Because there's a lot of fake religious leaders that ain't nothing but wolf and sheep clothing. I'm not saying that all people, religious people, is bad. I'm not saying that. There's a lot of good religious people. There's a lot of good people of every race. And there's a lot of bad people of every race. Everybody knew who Donald Trump was. Donald Trump is a man that everybody knew that had been impeached twice in his first term. Everybody knew that Donald Trump had been convicted of sexual assault. Everybody knew that Donald Trump had been convicted of 34 felonies. Everybody know that Trump filed in business bankruptcy 6 times. Everybody know you seen the people follow Donald Trump saying that they rather have a dictator or a king instead of having Kamala Harris as president. We knew what these people was. We knew as Christians that these people, if they are turn their back on Jesus, if they are turn their back on God, they will definitely turn their back on you. They'll turn their back on their mama and their daddy and their sister and brother. They did all of this because of hate, because they want to get rid of the Constitution so they won't have to treat black and brown people like they're human beings. And 77 million people voted for that. And then 90 million people didn't care one way or the other. So that's over 100 million people that don't care nothing about the Constitution. That don't care nothing about God. Because if you cared about Christ, you would have fought for him. If you cared about righteousness, you would have fought for it. If you cared for justice, you would have fought for it. But you didn't. The people that didn't vote, they just sit at home. They don't care one way or the other because they don't want to be involved. They're not concerned how it goes. And then the 77 million people that made him a god, they going right into the fiery furnace with him. The Bible said first the devil going to go in the fiery furnace, and then the angels, and then the false prophets, and then the one that run after Baal. The Bible say that they all going in the furnace. talked about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris like a dog. You're not talking about over 600,000 people died from COVID because Donald Trump didn't warn the people properly. This country is so evil that it'll go into another country that's not even trying to attack America. They'll try to throw people out of this country because of their race. Now he's trying to get rid of birthright citizenship. We're talking about black and brown people. You don't see him trying to throw no white people from Canada out of here, do you? You don't see him trying to throw people from Europe out of here, do you? Only the black and the brown people. I don't care what you say. Donald Trump is one of the most hateful and racist man I have ever known in my 68 years of life. If anybody say otherwise, I'll tell you right to your face, you ain't nothing but a liar. Everybody know what racism is. It's when you don't like somebody because of the color of their skin, or where they from, or that you is getting ready to be a minority. When you thought you had the world in a jug and the stopper in your hand. But what you didn't know is that God had another plan. God was raising the black and the brown people up so they can be 90% of the world's population. Now the president is white people and the president is black people and Mexicans, everything that help them. It's your time now to feel the pain. It's your time now to go through the water. It's your time now to go through the fire. You know you was wrong when you was mistreating black and brown people, treating them like animals. You knew you was wrong, and you knew that it was against God. You knew when you put Donald Trump in there, you put him in there. At 17 million, you put him in there, I don't care what race you in, because you knew that he was so evil. You knew that he didn't have no conscience. You know he don't know nothing about no right and wrong. All he know what to do is try to destroy. He going around to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And you're going to get a greater punishment than him because you knew better. You knew better. And you did it anyway because of the hate in your heart, in your mind, and in your soul. That's why Solomon said in Proverbs that pride, that white pride, that white power is going to be the very thing that bring you down. And that's exactly what happened. Your arrogancy, your cockiness, thinking that you better than other people because of the color of your skin. But God had another plan. God's plan was to let you destroy yourself. And that is exactly what you did. Donald Trump and his minions, they're buying oil stocks. They buying defense stock so they can make drones. They making billions and billions of dollars. Since the war started, gas went up $1. Can you imagine how many gallons of gas is sold every day? Can you imagine the billions and the billions of dollars for the last 30 days? Can you imagine how many billions of dollars that these oil companies have made in 30 days? Because of President Trump. He's angry with America because don't nobody like him. Because he's a sexual assaulter. His best friend is the #1 child pedophile in the world. He's the biggest liar ever. He done told more lies that's been recorded than anyone in history. He increased and deflated the prices of property. He increased to get a loan. He decreased to pay less tax. Everything that the man does is evil. And the very one that support him is just as evil as he is. God told me that I don't have to pray for somebody that evil. I don't. Somebody that will step on other people, not because the other people did something wrong to them. It's that you hate them because of their race. You can't get no more low down than that. Shame. Shame. Shame on you.